I get that.
Ah.
I'm so yeah. I'm with you. I'm exhausted as well. So
Yeah, well, we had a lot of fun. It was a really good trip.
yeah.
Um, because and we really didn't do much. Like literally, we just kind of were in the cabin, no Wi-Fi, no cell service. There was a hot tub and
Yeah.
alcohol.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Oh, right. We played some
Sometimes
board
it's
games and
oh,
card
okay, yeah.
games.
Yeah, okay. That's a good
We were just kind of kicking it. Good, talks, just and then not being bothered by our partners or children.
I mean that not being bothered by well, my wife
Which
aside, but children that I
I,
can do
you
without
know what?
sometimes.
I love Nate. I love my partner very,
Uh
very much.
oh yeah.
But you know what? It's nice to just kind of be present in the moment with these ladies and just sitting there and we're just
Do anything.
laughing until our sides hurt, and like
Yeah.
same for them. Like, because again, they're married, they have kids, so it's like as much as they love their partners, they love their kids, it's like I don't have to do anything for anybody but myself.
Mm,
Okay, cool.
this is nice.
This is
This is
nice.
nice. Yeah.
Could we do this all the time? No. But for 2.5 days, 3 days,
It's possible.
perfect. Great. Love it.
Yeah.
We're planning next year's already.
That sounds great. Oh, cat. See some cat
Cat.
hair.
There's a cat. There's a Gomez. Hello, Gomez. Are you gonna say hello to the people or are you just gonna sniff on the corner? Sniff on the corner.
All right, we'll go from there. All right. Um, like I say, welcome. And
Oh,
as a refresher, this is a podcast, a spicy lit podcast where we talk about romantic fantasy novels. Or this, at least in this instance, anyway.
I mean,
Um,
romantic fiction.
romantic fiction. Yeah, okay, I
I
like
feel like
that.
that's like our overall arching kind of goal
Hmm.
is romantic fiction.
Yeah,
Uh, we just happened to start with a romantasy in ACOTAR.
yeah, and myself very new to the very new to all of it. Let's be honest, except for the fantasy part, the romance part, never been my thing before. But as we're diving in, I'm getting a little used to it, getting a little
Getting into
warmed
it.
up to it. Yeah.
Kind of like
Uh,
it.
that's yeah. Meanwhile, my partner here has been doing it for a while, knows what's going
Yeah.
down with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
romance stuff. So
Yeah. I
yeah.
remember reading the ones with like Fabio on the cover that were like this big.
That's fun. That's
Uh-huh.
cool. You should pull some of those out sometime and do some
I
like,
don't know that I actually have any.
okay.
I think I just was getting them like at the library and stuff as
Oh, that works too.
at 15, 16.
Hit,
Like,
hit the library. Yep, we can do that.
yeah.
But my name is Ben,
And I'm Amanda.
and this is Seasoned Readings. And we're not gonna waste any time
We're not.
today.
We have a lot we want to get into.
We do. We a lot we want to cover.
We did. And we last finished with they finally did it. They finally
If
had sex.
sex happened.
And he sent her out the door.
Oh man. I could never really put it together like that, but now you're saying it out loud. It's like, oh, I just been waiting for this moment, and then it happens. He's like, oh, okay. I'll see you later.
So I'm gonna leave.
I'm gonna go.
Because you're gonna go.
What's even more rude is technically he said, we're speaking about the characters we are talking about ACOTAR,
We are.
of Thorns and Roses. Uh, Tamlin not only, well, I guess first tells her she's leaving and then has sex with her. Like, I don't know if that's better or worse, but
Like either way, I don't know that I love this.
appreciate
I
it. Right.
don't
Yeah.
know. I mean,
Uh, but yeah, he
it,
has his,
the boundaries were not clearly defined here. Like
correct.
if Homie was just looking to hit it and quit it, he
Yeah, say
should
it
have
up
just
front.
been like, "Hey,
Yeah, look, I'm not looking for anything long
more than just
term.
like this." Yeah.
Yeah, this it's just real cash, right? This is real
Right.
cash,
I've been
right?
wanting to do this since you got here. Will you indulge me?
Yeah, and is this like what you want too?
Right. There was
Like
none of that.
there is none of that. No, there's none of that. As it turns out, they both wanted at least
They did want
that,
it.
but they did both want it, and it seemed like they wanted it for a very long time.
Mhm.
28 chapters worth or 27 chapters worth, I think, of it.
20, yeah,
Um,
20. This is 27 chapters. And then that's when he leaves in the middle of the night while she's sleeping. He does not even have the courtesy to wait till she's awake in the morning.
man, this is
He sneaks out. He was gone when I awoke.
uh-huh.
Mm,
God,
mm, mm.
this is very, I mean, this is really like this is kind of foreboding if we're being honest, isn't it?
It really is. Like he
Yeah,
was fine and he's still fine.
sure.
But this is like,
A lot of guys are just fine, like we're just okay. But yeah,
mm.
anyway, the other side of that coin is we're complete sleaze bags. Anyway,
All
yeah,
right, chapter
but
28. But
chapter
let's go.
yeah, chapter 28. The next few chapters I think we're gonna blow through pretty quickly. There are a couple points that we want to touch on, but a lot of the stuff that happens here, I'm not gonna say it's boring. It's just not a lot happening.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but she wakes up. She's being dressed by Alice.
Yep,
Uh,
as she usually is.
uh-huh. But this time she's wearing something human as she's getting ready to leave.
It is. Yeah, it is definitely unlike her usual garb. Frilly, confining, binding in all the wrong places, pale
Mm.
pink silk, white and blue lace. Um, I love that she has a little white linen jacket. Like I love that Feyre
Um,
has no interest in fashion, but she takes note of these little things.
oh yeah, that's probably, but maybe that's why. It's because she has no interest in
Has
fashion.
no
She's
idea.
like, well, what is this for? Why do I have this extra piece? Like, shouldn't I be wearing this if I have it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and she's protesting going, but Lucian and Tamlin are getting her in a carriage. I think
Yep.
they load her up with all her stuff, like some paintings and other things.
Yep. Yeah, she
Uh,
says she doesn't have a lot of packing. She's kind of in that I refusing to say goodbye kind of situation. Like she doesn't want to say goodbye to Alice.
yeah.
She does kind of say goodbye to Lucian, but not really. Um, yeah, because Lucian is throwing shade at her,
What does he
you
say?
know. So Lucian's smile was edged, his shoulders tight as he gave a sharp look behind me where Tam was waiting in front of the gilded carriage. When he turned back, the metal eye narrowed. I thought you were smarter than this.
To her?
To her, he says this to Feyre,
What is
and
he
she's
referring to? Well, we don't know what he's referring to
we do not current know what he's referring to
in
yet,
this
but
part of
like
the
we
book. Yeah.
actually do know because we finished this book.
Sure, yeah.
But
So he's
Feyre
being a
has
little
not figured it out yet, and he's
right, right.
definitely just I think starting to try and drop some big hints.
That's right. I do remember this now. Yeah. And
Mhm.
because and it's like real awkward moments between her and pretty
Yeah,
much everybody. It's like, like it could have like why didn't you? Why couldn't you? Couldn't you just do the Couldn't you just do something? And she's like not getting it.
yeah, and
But
Lucian
no
is
one's really
angry. He's shaking his head, and then that's when he says something to Tamlin about you were not even going to give her a few more days before you send her back to the human cesspit. And so based off of Tamlin's reaction, they've been fighting about this
Mhm.
for a little while because this isn't up for a debate. I will see you at lunch, and he just that's it. Sent Lucian away.
Yeah. Um yeah, gets her in the carriage.
He does,
Uh
but not
he
before he lifts her chin with a finger. I
Yes.
will see you again. He kissed me, pulled away too quickly. I swallowed hard, fighting the burning in my eyes. I love you, Feyre.
Now, the next line, I believe, is when she tries to say it back. Or it says like I was going to say it back, but the words get choked, like in her
Mm-hmm.
throat, I think it says.
Yeah.
Um, now when I first read this, and then immediately after, correct me if I'm wrong, but she immediately after she starts smelling the scent of magic and falls asleep.
Um, it no, I was gonna say, so yeah, I should say it. I should say the words, they get stuck. Um, so she's hesitating here in saying
Hmm.
it because he is immortal and she will grow old and die eventually.
Oh, and that's why she's hesitating.
And that's why she's hesitating. And maybe he meant it now. Perhaps last night had been as altering for him as it had been for me. But I would not become a burden to him. I would not become another weight pressing on his shoulders. So I said nothing
Okay.
as the carriage moved, and I did not look back as we passed through the manor gates into the forest beyond. And then yes, then
And then
it's
she
like a
falls asleep.
pause. Yeah, and then she
Okay.
falls asleep.
Okay, so I must have like forgotten about that part because when I read it, I was like, wait, is she being like bewitched or magicked? Like, is that why she couldn't say it? But
No,
the way it reads is nah,
no,
she's just flaky. She's
she's doing the Bella thing where I'm such a lowly human. Why would you ever love me?
I get that reference now.
I know you do.
I get that.
I know you do. It's so
I am
great.
in the loop
You are.
for better or worse.
It's fine.
For worse. Yeah,
You love
so
it.
it was a movie. We watched a movie. I know
Yeah,
that
we did
much.
watch a movie. And we laughed pretty hard at said
It
movie.
was funny. It was best comedy I've seen all year, let's be honest.
Correct. Uh-huh.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so she gets sent, so she falls asleep and she ends up waking up in front of
Yeah.
a huge a new manor, a huge manor, or at
Mhm.
least a big one, a large house, I think, something along those lines. And there's a lot going on, and she sees her sisters, Nesta and Elaine.
Yes, a chateau of white marble and emerald
Chateau.
roofs,
Chateau.
nearly as large as Tamlin's Manor.
Going all out. All right.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, Nesta and Elaine don't recognize her though.
No, that takes them a minute.
Yeah, and they're kind of, but like they kind of, realize it's her, and they kind of do their meetings. And Nesta, I think at this point is already kind of hesitant about what's going on. I don't know if there's much. Well, either way, we'll skip. We'll just kind of jump into it. But they're told that the aunt that she was with, that Farah was with, died and is leaving Farah her fortune.
Yes.
Um, Farah's realizing that Tamlin has been obviously providing very well for her family.
Very well.
Very
Yeah.
well. Her father is better.
Yeah,
A
he's doing
random
much better.
random dude came by selling snake oil and
Yeah.
it worked.
Well, and like there's this conversation about letters because Elaine's like, "Oh, we wrote to you. We wrote to you at Aunt Ripley's." Ripley.
Ripley.
Ripley. Okay.
uh,
I'm just saying Ripley and we have
uh,
Elaine. I'm just
is it is Ripley's first name Elaine?
I think it's in that E.
Oh, is it?
I believe so.
Either way,
Um,
while you're looking that up,
yes.
yeah, like so some things happen. There's stranger shows up and like asks to invest in their father, and he basically their father basically doubles their money and they become wealthy again. Just like one good thing keeps happening to him one after
Yeah, so
one
first
after the
the
other.
stranger,
Mhm.
um, and then within a month, father had doubled the man's investment, and then the money started pouring in. And you know what? All the ships that we were lost were found, and the profits were intact.
And the profits were intact. What do you know? Obviously, all Tamlin's doing.
Mhm.
He'd been kind of stitching their estate back together since
Oh, it looks like in the first movie they just call her Ripley,
yeah,
but
they don't give her.
I thought she was like Ellen or something.
Eventually, she does get a name. I don't remember. At least I thought she did.
I do as well, but it does not appear as though she does.
Here, what is Ripley's? What is Ripley's?
Ellen.
Okay, all
Ellen.
right, there you go.
Yeah, Ellen Ripley.
Ellen Ripley.
Elaine
Oh,
and
yeah,
Ripley.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Have you watched Sailor Moon? And I'll explain why.
I love
Okay,
Sailor Moon.
okay. I was always the only reason I even know about Sailor Moon is because it was on after Dragon Ball.
Every morning before school.
I never watched, but I never watched it though. Is there have you seen any references about Sailor Moon in this in any of her books?
I
Because I know
haven't
she's a fan.
I know that's as well.
Big
I
fan.
have not seen anything here, but I also, as much as I do enjoy Sailor Moon, I wouldn't say that like I'm not like a hardcore fan.
It's fair.
Um, some of the stuff later does seem a little in book two. there was
Okay.
some stuff that sounded. I once we're in like the night court and stuff like that.
Invoking of the moons of the solar court, or I don't know what do they call themselves. I know there's like one for each.
Well, they're
Anyway,
the Sailor Scouts.
Sailor Scouts. Thank you. That's it. I knew it was
There's
something
one
like
for each
that.
planet. Hmm.
Anywho, yeah. So, yeah, and they're excited that she's back.
Yeah,
And they decide to throw a ball in her honor.
they do.
And Farah just really regrets being home, even though she's home, even though it's the thing that she wanted in the very beginning so badly.
Hmm.
Um, having been gone for so long, felt like the spring court was her new home. So,
Shoot.
and
Yeah.
and I think remembers the advice of the Suriel.
Yeah. Stay with the High Lord.
Stay with the High Lord. That you'll be safe if you stay with the High Lord. And that takes
Yeah.
us into chapter 29.
Yeah. Like, because, yeah, that
Um,
first one is just, it's quick.
yeah.
Fayward talks about kind of inventing stories for her time. And she's like, it took me no effort. Like, I read to her every day. I nursed her until she died in her sleep 2 weeks ago, leaving me her fortune. And it was a tremendous fortune. The trunks that accompanied me had in contagious clothing. Several of them had been filled with gold and jewels, and not cut jewels either, but enormous raw jewels that would pay for 1,000 estates.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
her father's taking inventory of these jewels. I love that that's his.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you're back. Let me go take care of this.
Yeah, I'm gonna inventory these.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I like how and I like how it's just, I don't know. I don't know. Like, it's like, yeah, okay, like, of course you're gonna send her with like money and jewels and stuff, but it's like, I don't think she needs it at that point. You know what I mean? Like, it seems a little over the top,
It is very over the top.
but I guess I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I don't really know why I have an opinion on it anyway. It's like, it's just, yeah, it is what it
I
is.
mean, it's good on you, Tamlin, for like showering your lady love in her family so that they'll never have to worry again a day in their lives.
That you booted out right after you had
But
sex.
that, yeah, but that you booted out right after you.
I'm getting some like have you ever seen Dave Chappelle's show when he like does the like how movies really would have happened and it's like Pretty Woman and
No, I
she's like,
don't.
oh, okay. It's like a satirical Pretty Woman. She's like in bed with him and
Hmm.
afterwards and she's like, I just thought it would be so glamorous and they made it sound so easy and then she like goes to turn to like look at him and talk to him. He's like, that's sweet, but you gotta get the fuck out. Like in the real, if it was real life, he would have gotten her the fuck
True.
out. And yeah,
It's true. Like I paid you. Your
yeah,
services here are no longer needed.
you may go. Like,
You may
what are you still
go.
doing here?
Take your
Anyway, yeah,
money and go.
yeah, just like paying her to leave and stay quiet, like, hey, yeah, take all
Hmm.
these jewels and clothing. See ya.
Yep. Yep.
Um, yes. Yeah. So Elaine, their dad shows up. He's like in better state of mind. He's like
Oh yeah.
lucid all the time instead of just like in and out of
His
consciousness.
hunch is gone. His
Yeah,
limp is
limp is
better.
gone. Yeah, yeah. Everything seems to be going great. Elaine has got like a beautiful garden. She's often kicking out the gardeners of the manor to like
Mhm.
do her own gardening, and Elaine's loving it. Everybody
Yeah.
seems to be happy
Hmm.
almost.
Yeah. And Elaine is just prattling on. I mean, it's honestly, she's giving
She's
me like, it's like Pride and Prejudice and Kitty just sitting there and just, oh,
okay, just
because
like
she's just
living
like,
the best life right now.
oh, these tulip bulbs, they came all the way from the continent and we're going to go next spring and
You're
Nesta
gonna
won't
love it.
go. You need to come with me since Nesta won't
All
go.
right, right.
And like, just all about how excited she is and her big floppy hat. And I can't wait to see the continent. And
Uh, definitely those vibes for sure. Uh, um,
and then gossip, 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 all the
right.
gossip.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
She in this it says the season has been strange because people had ignored them for so long,
yeah.
um, because they were poor.
Well,
And You go
Elaine
ahead.
is the one who brings it kind of up because they're kind of talking about how like she doesn't have a line of suitors begging for her hand. Um, Elaine flushed, but continued just weeding away. There's always going to be other seasons for that. Nesta won't tell you, but this season was somewhat strange.
Mm,
People acted as if we'd all just been ill for 8 years or had gone away to some distant country. Not that we'd been a few villages over in that cottage. You'd think we dreamed it all up, what happened to us over those years. No one said a word about it.
okay, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Elaine, like, kind of just passing it off as whatever.
Yeah.
Um, just thought it was just an odd coincidence, an odd thing. And I think she brings up after that Nesta trying to visit. Is that what's next?
Yeah, she was only gone for, yeah, that basically that maybe she should go talk to her since Nesta didn't finish the season. She's refusing every invitation. She hardly talks to anyone. And then, and she's like, Faye was struggling with like trying to tell like Elaine, well, me and Nesta don't get along. And that's when Elaine adds, she went to see you, you know. She was gone for only about a week, and she said that her carriage broke down not halfway there, and it was easier to come back. But you wouldn't know since she never got any of our letters.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And that's when Feyre is starting to think like, look, oh, like that could have been messy, but luckily it was taken care of.
Yep, and they're talking about how just different Feyre also is. Feyre looks so different. She sounds so different. Um, they're like, "Oh, did you meet somebody while you were
Mm,
Aunt Ripley's?" And Faye was just like, "Good food and rest. That's all."
yeah,
You know. Um, so let's see.
she does gather up a bunch of, which leads into the next chapter. She
I
gathers up a
mean,
bunch of,
essentially, yeah.
yeah, we're into chapter 30. She gather up, in the previous chapter, she gathered up a bunch of money, basically, small bags of gold and silver, and then she takes them into the village
Hmm.
in chapter 30 and kind of just, it's kind of just like doing the good, you know, good Samaritan thing of just like helping out people who have been who are poorest and who are
Hmm.
all, kind of in their situation, just dropping off money on their porch kind of a thing,
Yeah.
coming in, handing them little bits of gold and silver and just paying it back, so to speak.
Hmm.
As she's doing this, she runs into none other than Isaac Hale.
Yeah.
And he's not alone.
Well, no.
No, he is married at this
Hmm.
point. Um, I can't remember. There's like a whole dialogue about how she's like, "Oh, happy for
Let's see.
him," and blah blah, and
His
like,
Oh yeah, it's him and his plump young woman who could only be his new wife,
hmm
arm in arm smiling. His smile faltered as he beheld me. He just seemed so human. His wife looked between us, perhaps a bit nervously, as if whatever she felt for him, the love I'd already seen shining, was so new, so unexpected, that she still worried it could vanish.
hmm
Isaac just kind of nodded towards her, um, and that was it.
and they walked on by, and
Yeah, a
that
few
was
more
the whole
steps had
thing.
us passing each other. I smiled broadly at him, at them both, bowed my head, wishing them that well with my entire heart, and that was it. And then they go back to discussing the ball that her father is throwing in her honor
Hmm.
in 2 days' time. She hates it, of course, because so much money, so much extravagance,
Right.
you know.
And it's
Um,
all about her. She's like, and I don't want it to be.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and so she's kind of just like biding her time a little bit,
Mhm.
um, worrying about what's going on back at the spring court. Um, And then I don't remember if she approaches Nesta or Nesta approaches her, but suddenly there's a
Um,
confrontation between the two of them.
I
And
think Nesta, or I think Nesta has, yeah, Nesta came over. Because Feyre's looking at her hands as she's working in the garden with Elaine. Or not with Elaine, but like in
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Elaine's place. Like she's
They are
doing,
they are alone.
yes.
And she says to her essentially that the illusion didn't work, or
Yes.
whatever it is that she'd cast upon everyone else. She wasn't, I think she said something along the lines of like, do you think I'd be that dumb to believe that or something, or like
Right. Like it's
so dim-witted to
basically,
believe that.
yeah.
And that the whole time she is,
Why are you
sh
here? This is my
yeah, like,
home.
yeah,
No, it's
what,
not.
like, yeah. Oh, she's nasty about it too.
She is. No, it's
Nesta,
not your home.
nasty Nesta. Just put it down.
I think your home is somewhere far away.
Yeah, it would, and she remembers everything. She remembers the beast taking her away. She remembers like um, you know, I guess all how being poor for so long. Well, I guess they all kind of remember that, I think.
Well,
But
I like this line. So she talks about, yes, your beast's little trick didn't work on me. Apparently, an iron will is all it takes to keep a glamour from digging in.
that's what Farah says.
No, this is Nesta.
But then how does she know it was a glamour?
She's not dumb.
Well, yeah, but how would you know it's a glamour if you've never heard the
I think
term before?
I think it's that just it goes back to the myths and legends that they had about. It's why they had the stuff, like the spells and
I'm not buying it.
well, that's the terminology she uses though.
I'm
So
gonna go
she
back.
at
I'm
some
gonna go
point
back
knows.
and look and see if Farah, because if Farah would also know what a glamour is then. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure she's told. But
Yeah,
anyway,
because she starts to say, like, oh, Aunt Ripley's house. There's no Aunt Ripley. This trick didn't
there's no.
work. I have an iron will, and therefore I remember everything. I had to watch Father in the Lane went from sobbing hysterics into nothing. Listen to them talk about how lucky it was for you to be taken to some made up aunt's house, how some winter wind had shattered our door. And I thought I'd gone mad. But every time I did, I would look at the painted part of the table and then at the claw marks further down and know it wasn't in my head.
So like living in like man, that would be that's toying with the head. Like everyone else is just kind of like in this delusion, in
Yeah.
this illusion, and she's just like, am I the crazy one? Like, what
Mm-hmm.
is going on? That'd be trippy. That'd be real trippy.
Yeah,
Um,
and she trucked for 2 days. So he stole you away in the night, claiming some nonsense about the treaty, and then everything went on as if it had never happened. It wasn't right. None of it was right. And you went after me, I said, Faye were talking to Nesta. You went after me to Prithian. And Nesta tells her, I got to the wall, but I couldn't find a way through.
mhm.
You trekked 2 days there and 2 days back through the winter woods.
Who took
And
her, Amanda?
I
Who took
hired
her?
that mercenary from town to bring me a week.
She's back.
To bring
She's
me a
back,
week after
baby.
you were taken with the money from your pelt. She was the only one who seemed like she would believe me. She still has no name,
Still has no name.
but there
But
she is.
surely now she will be a main character in the rest of the series.
Surely.
Surely we will hear about her adventures many more times. Her name is Shirley. It must be.
There it has to
Her,
be.
yeah, we'll hear about her grand
And then we
adventures
find
many
out
times,
that
many
she
times to
did
come.
not marry Thomas Mandry.
No, she did not. Forgot about that part.
And I realized he would have gone with me to he wouldn't have gone with me to save you. And this is like they do. They finally kind of have like a moment where like she sees just like how much Nesta actually like loved her and like
What she was willing to
yeah.
travel and go into Prithian just to find her.
Well, and I think this is
And
such a sweet little paragraph that she says about her sister is that I looked at my sister. I really looked at her, at this woman who couldn't stomach the sycophants who now surrounded her, who had never spent a day in the forest but had gone into wolf territory, who shrouded the loss of our mother, then our downfall in icy rage and bitterness because the anger had been a lifeline, the cruelty a release. She had cared beneath it all. She had cared and perhaps loved more fiercely than I could comprehend.
yeah,
I think that's just such a sweet, like,
and,
thing.
yeah, and this is why Nesta is definitely, I think, a cooler, like one of the cooler characters, is because
Mm-hmm.
she actually does have some depth, and it's like, yeah, she's got that rigid outer shell, but on the inside really does, and is willing to.
She's got that crunch, that hard candy coating.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
then once you get in, there's a little bit of gooey center. She got a little caramel in there.
caramel. I like caramel.
Yeah, she's
Caramel.
gooey.
She's
And
gooey.
then
I will
Feyre
say,
does tell her, Tomas never deserved you anyway.
uh, I will say that like in my mind, Nesta going to find Farah is more than just like her caring about her. It's like I need to put an end to this madness. Like someone will believe me. If I can get her to come back, someone will believe me. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I kind of get the feeling that it's not, and whether or not it was meant to, in my head, it's so dark. She's like, I need answers. I am not going insane.
I
Yeah.
think it's both. Like
Yeah.
I need to save my sister, and at the same time I need to save my father and my other sister
Hmm.
because they have gone crazy.
I've gone, this is insane. How do they not remember what happened?
Correct. Um,
Yeah, so that kind of takes us into the next chapter. It takes us to the ball,
yeah, yeah.
which I don't really think anything happens at the ball, does it? I don't remember anything about it. I remember thinking, oh, that was surprisingly short for this extravagant
The ball was a blur
festival.
of waltzing and preening, of bejeweled aristos, of wine and toast in my honor. I lingered at Nesta's side because she seemed to do a good job of scaring off the two curious suitors who wanted to know more about my fortune. But that's it. She's just thinking about saving Tamlin now.
Hmm.
I'd known something was wrong. I'd known he was in trouble, not just with the blight, but also that the forces gathering to destroy him were deadly. And I'd stopped looking for answers. I'd stopped fighting. I hadn't tried harder to be. Then she's just in this guilt spiral.
Of course,
I should have tried harder. I hadn't even
because
told him I loved him. Lucian had known it too, shown it in his bitter words. How disappointed he was. I mean, really, and now here we go, that her father is thinking about buying the better land.
hmm,
And that's Beddor, as in the
Bedor,
better
as
family. They're not better, they're
right,
Beddor.
Bedor, right.
Uh huh.
Um, yeah, and she kind of and I think there's like a group of them talking about it or something, and that's when Feyre kind of
What
interjects.
happened to the Beddors?
Yeah, what happened there? And then she
And
finds
then
out that there
Elaine
was a
tells her
fire. Yeah,
that
there
the
was a
house
fire at the
burned
estate.
down and everyone died, and
Everyone
they
died.
couldn't find Claire's body.
Hmm. And so Farrah starts to freak out a little bit
Yeah, because
because
that's the name she'd given to Rysand.
she realizes that yeah, I had given up her name in lieu of my own. And if she got attacked, it means that somebody must have went looking for Feyre,
Mm-hmm.
and she freaks out.
She does, yeah.
Rightly so. She tells, I think she like basically, I don't know if it's immediately like or after the party or the next day, but she's like, okay, like she's in
Oh,
go mode.
it's immediately. I
Okay.
pushed against my guilt, the disgust, the terror. I had to get answers, and I had to know if it had been a coincidence or if I might yet be able to save Claire. Fairies. They had come over the wall and left no trace behind. I lowered my hand and I looked at Nesta. You must listen very carefully. Everything I've told you must remain a secret. You do not come looking for me. You do not speak my name again to anyone.
And at this point, she tells her everything, and anything she hasn't told her, she clues
Mm.
her in about the blight, about like the spring court, about
Yep.
the different courts, and about what little she probably knows of Amarantha. Um,
Yes.
and it's just like, this is what's actually going down in these worlds and
Yeah.
how it's going to affect, and it could. Oh, and she also tells her about how the blight could spill over and start affecting
Yep.
our world.
Well, and tells her that like they can lie. Iron has no effect on them.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
she tells them all of that. Ashwood. Ashwood always seems to work. Take my money, buy a damned grove of it for Elaine to tend.
yeah. And then it says here Elaine's glamour breaks and she starts to remember what really happened. I don't remember that, but I remember it breaking. I don't remember it
She had a
happening now,
horse, a
but
satchel of food, and supplies ready when I hurried down the stairs. My father was nowhere in sight, but Elaine threw her arms around me, holding tightly, and said, I remember all of it now.
okay, that's what it is.
I wrapped my arms around her. Be on your guard, all of you. She nodded, tears in her eyes. I would have liked to see the continent with you, Feyre. Maybe someday, I said. Another promise that I'd be lucky to keep.
Yeah. And then she heads out for
Yeah.
the
For this room, it took me 2 days. And the night between them was more terrifying than I'd ever experienced in the Supreme Court. 2 days before I spied the mossy stones placed across from each other, a faint whirl carved into them both a gate. This time I was mounted my horse and steered in between them.
She
And that's
finds
when magic stung her nose
she finds the hole in the
in the wall.
wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So she journeys on once she hits Prithian and eventually does come up to the spring, finds or I guess she's technically in Spring Court once she crosses the
Yeah,
wall, but finds the manor house more
she finally
specifically.
gets to, yeah, basically by the time I reached the gates, my mouth had gone dry. The gates were open,
It is
but the
empty.
iron had been bent out of shape.
Oh, I forgot about that part.
Mm-hmm. So she's coming back to the manor and it's not right.
Oh no, so
The gates would open. Every step of my horse's hooves was too loud on the gravel path, and my stomach dropped further when I beheld the wide open front doors. One of them hung at an angle, ripped off its top hinge. I dismounted, arrow still at the ready, but there was no need. Empty as if it was a tomb. And she's
yeah,
calling for Tamlin. She calls for Lucian, but alone in the wreckage of the manor, I sank to my knees. He was gone.
that ends chapter 31, I believe.
It does end chapter. Like, we are moving at quite the cliff here because it is a lot of like talk, 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 but like
It
these are
is.
kind of those big points where it's like she's had her moment with her sisters, they know everything, and she's starting and she's like, I gotta get back, I gotta help them.
Yeah, it's definitely a climax. We're hitting, there's like this, it's almost like a double climax.
Yeah, it is. It's that
Pardon
like it's
the
it's
pun.
the foothill before the big mountain.
Right. It's like they have sex is one of the climax, and then it kind of dips down, and then the
Whoop,
actual climax,
and then yeah,
the
I mean,
story.
this is when we start to really like, I think this is when it gets, the speed hit just goes.
Well, I would disagree. I think it's not. I think it is not until well, the writing certainly does. Like things are happening a lot faster in in a shorter amount of reading.
Yes.
So yeah, definitely agree with you there because like in the next few chapters is well, as we'll here it's like she's covering huge lengths of land and just like yeah, they're moving quick and somehow. I mean, not somehow. It's just because the writing the way it is. But anyway, but yeah, and it gets really really interesting here pretty soon as well.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be the last chapter we wanted to do because this is chapter 32.
Mhm.
But this one's dense.
Yes, this
So
one is
we're going to
dense.
kind of, I think, slow down our kind of recap because she is sitting alone in the empty, destroyed manor of the Spring Court. Um,
And somebody approaches her.
Someone approaches her. I rubbed my face, taking a shuddering breath. I wouldn't let myself get that far. My hand shook as I paused before the dining room doors, but both barely hanging on their hinges. Everything is as if Tamlin had been sitting there when the attack had happened. Um, Multiple sets of prints heading toward the garden, debris crunched from down the hall. The figure sniffed again. My stomach clenched. It could smell me. Dared a better glance at it, hoping to find a weakness, a spot for my knife. I cried out. The figure screeched as I shoved away from the door. Alice.
Our girl.
Alice is still there. Our girl.
Our girl. And yeah, it's like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah.
Like Tamlin told you to get away. Why did you come back?
Yeah,
Um,
you can't be here. You were told to stay. Are they
mhm.
alive? Alive and well, but what happened? Tell me everything, Alice.
Yes. And this is our the info dump.
Oh yeah.
This is where we learn pretty much everything with a few details
Yes. She took him.
revoked.
She took him to her court under the mountain.
Who is
Who took
she?
him?
Who took him? Amarantha.
Amarantha.
And yeah, this isn't the first time we hear Amarantha, I don't think, but
No,
this is
we've
the first
heard the
time.
name
Yes, but this is
because
the
it
first
was
time we start getting some details
information of
about
who
her.
she is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think it's mentioned during um Rhysand's visit.
Yes.
Amarantha's name is mentioned. And that was when Feyre connects Amarantha to the mysterious her
Right.
that they have spoken about.
Yep. And
Um,
realizes that she is the one behind all of this blight, all of this stuff going on.
mhm.
Um,
Which can we just like I just want to pause for a minute. And I
mhm.
remember when I was reading this for the like before we started breaking it down, and I looked at your wife and I said, I she is our antagonist. We finally have our antagonist in Amarantha.
Yeah.
But like it's kind of badass that she's considered a blight of an entire country. Like
You've hit a certain status when
you've
you're
hit some status there, girly. Like, okay,
yeah, yeah. It's you're not just like a hindrance. You're not like a pain in the ass. You're a motherfucking blight.
you're a blight.
You're blight. Yeah, and that she has, because and she
Mhm.
has had dealings of many kinds.
Yep,
We also hear about Hybern as well. She was emissary from Hybern originally.
she was.
Um, and back when there was a war on humans.
Mhm.
She had a younger sister.
She
Uh,
did.
what's her name?
Um, is it Clythia?
Clythia?
It's Clythia.
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 Clithia.
Clythia. Yes.
Clithia. That's what it is.
You listened to it and I read it, so it's hard to.
I've already forgotten. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie. Clithian. I'm pretty sure. Clithia. Sorry, I'm still can't get it right.
Oh,
Clithia, who fell in love with a human named Jurian.
yes.
And this is important because
Jurian is very important.
he betrayed
He does.
her and murders Clithia and really fueled Amarantha's hatred of humans and just really just yeah. Um
Yeah, she was the most lethal general of the King of Hybern. Um,
it says here
Clythia.
Amarantha wanted to rule Prithians, snuck into forces, poisoned the High Lords to steal most of their magic. Okay.
Yep.
I don't oh wait, no, that's
That's what
the
happened 100 years ago or 50 years ago.
when the with the masks.
Yes.
That was what yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. That make yes. She
Yeah.
managed to like sneak
So,
in during a party, I believe it was, right? Snuck in during a party they're having, or not snuck in, but was there at a party or like a
yeah. So
ball.
she summoned all the High Lords for her court to
Mm,
watch them break Tamlin. Like, so this is what Alice is telling her.
yeah.
What is she? What curse? A curse? The curse she had put on this place? A curse that I had failed to even see? Like, Amaranthus, the High Queen of this land, the High Queen of Prithian. But the seven High Lords rule Prithian equally. There is no High Queen, is what Faye was saying. And she's like, well, that's how it used to be, but how it's always been until 100 years ago when she appeared in our lands as the emissary. And at this time, like Alice is literally like putting clothes and apples and stuff into a satchel, like she's packing her up.
Yeah.
She went from court to court, charming the High Lords with talk of more trade between Hybern and Prithian, more communication, more sharing of assets. Um, and for 50 years, she lived here as a courtier, bound to no court, making amends, she claimed, for her own actions and the actions of Hybern during the war, because she fought in the war against the mortals. And this is when Alice paused to say that her story is legend among our kind. It's a legend and a nightmare. She was the most lethal general. She fought on the front lines with her sister, slaughtering humans and any high fae and fairies who dared defend them. Clythia, is that what we're going with?
Yeah.
Fought at
Sure.
her side. It was as vicious and wretched as Amarantha was, but she fell in love with the mortal warrior Jurian. Jurian commanded a mighty human army, but Clythia still secretly sought him out, still loved him with an unrelenting madness. She was too blind to realize that Jurian was using her for information about Amarantha's forces.
So like
Amaranthus,
go
he's
ahead.
like playing like a double agent.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. But like I know that there's more writing about how this happened or what happened, but it's like they're slaughtering, killing humans,
mhm.
and but yet somehow she falls in love with this one.
Yeah, it doesn't.
We find
Yeah,
out a little bit more later, but
yeah. And so
I don't know.
basically, Amarantha delighted in the torture and killing, but she loved her sister enough to stay her hand with Jurian. But Jurian betrayed her. After months of stomaching being her lover, he got the information he needed, then tortured and butchered her, crucifying her with ash wood so she couldn't move while he did it. He left the pieces of her for Amarantha to find. So yeah, Jurian, as much as like he's just trying to protect,
Unnecessary, like, you
there was
know,
some unnecessary cruelty in how he
yeah.
was doing it.
Pretty
Mm-hmm.
sure like the Geneva Conventions probably like
Oh, they're
talks about that stuff
correct.
pretty detail, you know.
Yeah. That's when Amarantha's wrath could have been brought down the skies themselves, but the king ordered her to stand down. And so Amarantha had hated humans with a rage you cannot imagine. And after they made the treaty, she butchered her own slaves rather than free them.
Yeah.
And then she comes back. The High Lords believed her when she told them that the death of her sister changed her, especially when she opened trade lines between our territories.
Yeah, so I mean she kind of worms her way in and is
She
like, you know, making things
does.
great for everybody. And it's like, you know, let's figure this out. Let's get this or let's make sure everything's groovy and kosher between us and you know, let's get some
Mhm.
trade routes going. Let's get
Yep. And then this
some of
is
the courts
when
talking.
49 years ago she struck. So after luring them all in for
Mm-hmm.
50 years,
Mm-hmm.
she finally is like, all right, let's go. So she invites everybody to a ball and she slipped potions stolen from the King of Hybern's unholy spellbook into their wine, so that once they drank, the High Lords were prone. Their magic laid bare, and she stole their powers from where they originated inside their bodies, plucked them out as if she were taking an apple from its branch, leaving them with only the basis elements of their magic. Tamlin, what you saw of him here, was a shade of what he used to be, the power that he used to command.
Just a fraction.
Mm-hmm. So she, and within a matter of days, she took control of Prithian. And for 49 years, we have been her slaves, waiting for the moment to break the treaty and take the human lands.
And so we and it might
She's
be
now
skipping
known as the Deceiver,
the dece-
which I love. The
the deceiver.
Deceiver.
She is the blight, the deceiver, the
She trapped
high
the seven high
lady.
lords, built her palace beneath the sacred mountain in the heart of our land.
Yeah. And shortly after, we find out that she actually fell in love with Hamlin,
Yes. Yeah.
who,
So
all
kind
right,
of. So because this is when then Alice is like, you could have been the one to stop her.
uh-huh.
You could have been the one to free him and his power, but you had been so blind to your own heart.
And then she goes on to say like,
I didn't know I
but
could, and then that's when Alice is like, you couldn't. We could not
couldn't,
tell you.
we were not, but she could
Mhm.
now because now that allotted time has been up,
Yeah.
there wasn't any risk of telling Pharaoh what was going on.
Hmm.
Um, and it's the go figure, it's the Beauty and the Beast story.
Yeah.
She but instead of like maybe a kiss, I think in the Beauty and the Beast movie, all she had to say was
No,
"I love
there
you."
was no kiss that had to happen in Beauty and the Beast either.
She,
She just had to love him. He had just had to
oh,
be
okay, just had to
loved.
be loved. Okay, so yeah, same
He just
thing.
had to love and be loved in return. That was
Yeah,
it. Like,
and so that was basically the curse here. I mean, it's a little more complicated in this, but she had to. It's like this like crazy set of circumstances that I think
yeah,
is kind of funny. It's like it has to be a human,
it
I
had to be a
believe.
human.
Had to kill a good friend of yours
Yeah, so Amarantha grew
and
to
out of
desire
hatred.
Tamlin, to
Uh-huh.
lust for him with her entire wicked heart. Um, let's see. And then what she did to Jury and its punishment for her sister's death. Obviously, Tamlin was wary of her. Lucian was sent to her as Tamlin's emissary to try to treat for peace between them. She refused.
Oh, that's right. That's how he
And
got his
then Lucian told
eye
her to go
gouged
back
out.
to the shithole she'd crawled out of, and so she took his eye as punishment, carved it out with her own fingernail.
Hmm.
I love that she took her fingernail and just pop your
Hmm.
eyeball.
Rude.
She went back and she sent him back to so bloody that Tamlin vomited when he saw his friend. Mhm.
That's gotta be a pretty gnarly scar.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I'm sure there's blood. Like, there's a big gaping hole in his face. There's
Well, yeah,
blood
yeah.
pouring down. Like, I don't blame him for vomiting
Oh, no, not at all. They just
at
got
all in this.
sinew or probably like bits of skull
Oh
coming
yeah,
out.
that's not good.
I feel like you forget he has a scar though, but like
Yeah,
honestly,
he's also
it's gotta be
scarred.
huge. That's
Oh
gotta
yeah,
be a
I
huge
think it's like a
scar.
big like.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then after that, she hosted a masquerade under the mountain for her. All the courts were present at the party, and she said to make amends for what she'd done to Lucian. She's like, I am so sorry. I lost my temper. I didn't think my nail was that sharp. Come
There
under the
was
mountain.
I was
We're gonna have a masquerade ball.
just getting something out of his eye, and I
Yeah,
slipped, and then
it,
just took
it
all
was
that
a
with me.
mistake.
It was a
I am
mistake
so sorry. So they come.
because
The
they're
entire
stupid,
spring court was to attend,
because they're dumb.
even the sermons. Yep.
I mean, I
And they had
guess
to wear their masks.
you don't have a choice, but
Yes. And when all were assembled, she claimed that the peace could be had if Tamlin joined her as her lover and consort. But when she tried to touch him, he refused to let her near, not after what she'd done to Lucian. He said in front of everyone that night that he would sooner take a human to his bed, sooner marry a human than her.
just a bunch of
Uh,
people saying some stupid shit
oh, yeah,
is
no,
what it comes
Tamlin
down
ran his
to.
mouth.
Oh yeah, well, first solution,
First Lucian did, and
and
then
now
Tamlin.
Tamlin, and it's like,
And she might have let it go had he not said that, but because
okay,
her own sister had preferred a human's company to her. Which makes me wonder, was there like a weird love between her and her sister?
I mean, maybe, I don't know.
It's
I
weird
guess.
that to me now, like reading back through it, that she got so offended that her sister wanted to be with a human man.
Well, I think it's also that like, they're fighting against humans. It's like more or less the enemy. They also treated them as slaves.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so to say that I'd rather be with a human
But it's
than with
the
you, it's like,
her she might have let it go had he not then said that her own sister had preferred a human's company to hers and that her own sister had chosen Jurian over her.
oh, so you mean like deep relationship, like well, maybe I don't know.
It's just interesting that, oh, she preferred his company over your company.
Right.
It's just a
Yeah.
weird terminology for Tamlin to throw at her.
Hopefully you can't hear that. There's a ruckus going on.
No,
So
I do
sorry.
not.
Good. Uh, yeah. Which I want to bring up a point
Yes.
about our man Timmy Tam.
Timmy Tam.
So in this instance, he lessened his powers are lessened.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a shade of what he was capable of before.
Yes.
His buddy got his eye ripped out
Yes.
for talking. He fucked her. He talked. He fucked around and found out,
He did.
and he's getting all pissy at our girl Amarantha here.
Mm-hmm.
But he stands up for himself. He knows that there's gonna
Yeah.
be consequences, but he doesn't give a fuck.
No.
He's
No.
he's gonna put it to her no matter
I'm
what.
going to stab this knife into you
Uh-huh.
and then I'm going to twist it because I'm going to talk about how your sister preferred the company of humans
Uh-huh.
over yours.
Yet when his when the love of his life is being assaulted,
Mm-hmm.
he would rather grovel on his knees than
Hey,
be.
we aren't there yet.
No, I'm talking about with Rysand. Remember
She
Rysand?
wasn't really being I mean, was she being
I'm pretty sure
assaulted?
she was being choked up, wasn't she? Or like, well,
No, I
maybe it
think
was
he was
just.
just
Oh, okay.
there.
Shadow assaulted.
Sure.
All right. Tendrils of magic assaulted. Exactly. Something. It was not welcomed.
It was
Put it
not,
that.
yeah, no, it was not a welcome intrusion.
So yeah, right. So like this is happening, and he just grovels.
Well, but this is figure he's
But when
groveling after all of this has gone down. So he's already fucked around and found out.
so now he learned his lesson.
So now he learned his lesson when it comes to Farah. Yeah.
Or
He's just a shit human being.
and he likes Lucian better than Farah.
Oh, that could be.
I mean, man.
I mean, so it does bring me. Have you talked to your wife about this theory about Tamlin and Amarantha
Oh, that they were
that they were mates
bonded. Yeah,
and that he's
she
in this
mentioned that.
moment is rejecting the mating bond,
Yeah, yeah,
which would be super
they
insulting.
would be. But my thing is like, dude, like you can't, and it's not just here. We'll find out more later. All right, we keep seeing this. We keep seeing this bullshit where he just is just a complete wimp
Oh
about
yeah.
this stuff, and it's like I don't know. I don't get it. Maybe yeah, and I
I
don't
part
know.
of me just feels like Amarantha breaks him
This
with
is the
this
point when she break.
curse.
Yeah, and maybe that's it, and maybe that's when he finally feels defeated and is like, and it's been 48 years
49
by the
years
time
because
he.
it's
Well, I just mean
7 years, 7 times 7 years.
I just mean like by the time
Oh
he
yeah.
meets Feyre, and it's just like he's
Yeah.
like, this is just life now. Maybe
Hmm.
I don't know, and so he's just kind of just given up hope. But yeah, I just thought that's funny. It's like
I know.
it's when his boy gets, it's when his boy gets hurt. That's when he's like,
I mean, and I feel like part of this you can kind of argue is that this is a little bit of a younger Tamlin. Um, like he's a little more foolish. Um,
50 years.
yeah,
That's not, I don't feel like it's a big difference in the fairy world.
it depends. They all remember because Alice does talk about like how some age a lot slower and some age, more quick. So,
And maybe just maturity, not necessarily like
and that could
age.
correct. Like, is it so much that he's age, or
Yeah.
is that like now that he has 50 more years of life experience?
Maybe he's learned
You
to just
know,
be subservient, essentially.
well, he's learned that there are fights that you fight, and there are ones that you just there's
Yeah,
hills you're gonna die
but
on.
this is the woman that you love. This is, and like,
Yeah.
I can't get behind it. I can't do it. Because
I,
like it's even more so in fantasy, right? Like even more so, this is your
I
knight in shining armor. Why isn't he stepping up? This is why I
the
can't believe.
moment where Sand does not bother me as much as what's to come later
Yes.
with him.
Yeah.
Because I would agree that, like, yeah, he does eventually bow to Rysand and grovel the way Rysand wants him to. But part of me kind of forgives that because he's, I think, just trying to keep her safe. And the thing to keep her safe is that I need to do this thing. And then he
Sure.
immediately sends her away
Yeah.
to try to further protect her.
Right.
And so for me right now, like, I'm not ready to fully be like, okay, homie,
All right. All right. Okay.
if that makes sense.
And we will continue this conversation in like a few more chapters, five
We
more chapters.
will. I mean, really,
And we're going to agree 100% with each other. I can almost guarantee that.
I'm
So
sure we will.
I think we have already.
So she's gonna lay down the curse though. So let's get back to Amarantha. We're
Yeah.
getting our
Sorry.
history,
Sorry.
our lore. No, I think this was
Yeah.
really good. Like, I
Yeah. Yeah.
wanted to talk about this, but like, in case there is anybody who's reading for the first time and reading along, I don't want to start talking about stuff that's to come
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because
Definitely.
the stuff that's to come is the stuff that really makes me go, ugh.
Yeah. The sigh, extra hard sigh.
Yeah, like it's where I
Uh,
really start to lose any affection I may have had for Tamlin
yeah.
is
And
in chapters to come.
and and I hate to say it for this book, from in my case, because
Because
there,
I started to like it.
yeah. There's some great points, and then it kind of, anyway, we'll get there. Let's continue on.
Honestly, Fire Night, like at this point, I'm like into it and
Hmm.
I'm here for it. And then yeah, stuff's gonna start happening
Hmm.
later. And then I'm gonna be like, oh,
Yeah,
and it
it's a
makes
big
me
throwing
like
hands up and like,
Rysand more.
oh, which I already like Rysand. By this point, I
We
already like
already love
Rysand
him.
more. I already thought I was like, oh, he's the bad guy. Oh, he's the bad guy.
Oh, I love a bad guy.
It's-
All right, Amarantha. is going to lay down a curse because
Yes.
Tamlin's running his mouth and spitting on her.
Yeah, and he doesn't want anything to do with her.
Correct.
And
So
so
this is what Amarantha tells him is that he has 7 times 7 years before she will claim him and he will have to join her under the mountain. If he wants to break her curse, he needs to only find a human girl willing to marry him. But it can't just be any human girl. It has to be a human with ice in her heart, with hatred for our kind, a human girl willing to kill a fairy. And this is when Feyre's like, oh, shoot. And then,
like, oh,
worse, the
who
fairy that she had killed had to be one of Tamlin's men sent across the wall by him like lambs to slaughter. The girl could only be brought here if he to be courted if she killed one of his men in an unprovoked
provoked
attack
attack, unprovoked attack.
and killed him for hatred alone, just as Jurian had done to Clythia. So she could
With you.
understand her sister's pain.
Yes. Because what are the chances of all those things happening?
Right. And you can kill as many Nosferatu as you want and never suffer the consequences, but you killed Andrus, sent out by Tamlin as that day's sacrifice. Andrus was looking for a cure, Tamlin had said, not for some magical blight, but a cure to save Prithian from Amarantha, a cure for the curse. The wolf, Andrus, had just stared at me before I killed him. Let me kill him so I could begin this chain of events so Tamlin might stand a chance of breaking the spell.
Mm-hmm.
And
Some
this is when
fucking
she's just like, oh,
yeah. All I had that was when she was like, all I had to do was say, I love you. That is it. That was it. You just had to express yourself. Have you ever
yeah.
like I love I love this like I don't even know what to call it, this conundrum because it's just like, there's times in our lives where we're just like, if I just expressed myself, maybe things would have gone a little differently. You ever thought that? Everyone's thought that, right?
Right.
It's like, how many times have you thought like, well, if I just expressed myself, the entire world would have been saved?
Every day. Every day. I should
Yeah.
have said say the thing. Say the weird thing. Just say
Ah,
it.
I should have said iced, not hot. Damn.
Damn.
World's coming to an end.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think on top of that, their masks would be stuck on so that their faces
Mhm.
would be concealed, making it harder for
Mhm.
someone, supposedly harder for someone to fall in love with. Let's be honest, that actually kind of helped them out, I think.
I think so.
Because I mean, it's like, oh, this mysterious guy's got a. It's like, what could he possibly look like underneath this like very thin mask that only covers his eyes, maybe his nose? It's like, the dude's gorgeous underneath. Shut up. Like
Right. I
you
know.
see enough of the face that you know this dude's handsome. It's
Well,
just
and here is I think a nice little interesting point that we talked about just how Tamlin, views certain other high lords.
hmm,
And it says here, Alice talks about how after 2 years of sending people out every single day in the hopes of doing this, Tamlin just kind of stopped, called it all off, and decided to just hunker down in his borders. The other High Lords fought back. 40 years ago, she executed 3 of them and most of their families for banding together against her. What courts? The day court, the summer court, and the winter court.
I'm glad you read that because I forgot all about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The rebel lords tried calling for aid from the other Fey territories, using as messengers whatever humans were foolish enough to enter our lands. Most of them young women who worshipped us like gods, the children of the blessed.
Blessed.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Amarantha caught them all before they left their shores, and you could imagine how it ended for these girls. And then Amarantha butchered the rebellious High Lords. Their successors were too terrified to tempt her wrath again. And she keeps all of them, she keeps every rebellious High Lord and their entire court under the mountain.
Yeah, not just like like lots of people,
Yeah,
which
she puts everybody.
Yeah, it's just like you're staying here so I can keep a close eye on you, which is kind of weird because like how do you run a court without being there? But
Mhm.
I don't know, they're fairies, they probably figure it out. Magic or something.
Yeah. Yep. And then yeah, so they talk about it 3 days. He only had 3 days after you left before the fight 49 years was over.
Hmm.
3 days and he let you go. She came here with her cronies at the exact moment the 7 times 7 years were over, seized him along with most of the court, and brought them under the mountain to be her subjects. Creatures like me are too lowly for her, though she's not above murdering us for sport.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think that's at the end of the chapter. Basically, she's, I think,
Yeah, there's a little more kind of talking because they talk a little bit about the night court. If they were on back, basically, like what happened to the King of Hybern because she's now
oh, right,
conquered Prithian, stolen his spells. Then does he see her as insubordinate or as an ally? They are on bad terms. He has made no move to punish her.
right.
For 49 years now, she's held these lands in her grip. Worse, after the High Lords fell, all the wicked ones in our lands, the ones too awful even for the Night Court, flocked to her. And they still do. So that's our bogey. That's,
Adder,
the adder. Hmm.
Naga.
Yep. Inhuman terror. Yep. Let's, yeah. And then, yep. And then she talks about she would not be surprised if she sent her minions into the human realm to investigate your strengths and weaknesses in anticipation of the destruction she one day hopes to cause. Um, and yeah, Feyre ends up in this guilt spiral.
Again.
Um, hmm that kind of thing. Um, if Tamlin were freed, if he had his full powers, I said, staring at a blackened bit of wall, would he be able to destroy Amarantha? I don't know. She tricked the High Lords through cunning, not force. Magic's a specific kind of thing. It likes rules, and she manipulates them too well.
Hmm.
Um,
Which is like a line that's delivered very specifically,
mhm.
and Farah doesn't listen.
Yep, she'll never let those under the mountain go. And so at this point, Feyre says, how do I get under the mountain?
Hmm.
And Alice tells her, you can't go under the mountain. No human who goes in ever comes out. How do I get there? It's suicide. You're a human. She will kill you. Your flesh is paper thin. Um, Amarantha also must have taken Lucian. She had carved out Lucian's eye and scarred him like that. Did his mother grieve for him? You were too blind to see Tamlin's curse, Alice continued. How do you expect to face Amarantha? You'll make things worse.
Hmm.
Show me the way, Feyre demands. Um, go, no, Alice says. Go home. I'll take you as far as the wall. There's not to be done now. Tamlin will remain her slave forever, and Prythian will stay under her rule. That's what fate dealt. That was what the eddies of the cauldron decided. I don't believe in fate, Feyre says, nor do I believe in that some ridiculous cauldron. Take me to her, I insisted. If Amarantha ripped out my throat, at least I would die doing something for him. At least I would die trying to fix the destruction I hadn't prevented, trying to save the people I doomed. At least Tamlin would know it was for him and that I loved him. And then Alice says, as you wish. And that ends the chapter.
Hmm.
Okay, Feyre.
Again, again, being told this is a bad idea. I mean,
Yeah.
this is more like a you have to do this kind of a thing in order for the book to progress. But again, just not listening and just doing whatever the fuck she
Oh
wants.
no, 100%. Like I part of me wonders, we all know how Alice is a lot smarter, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I'd say so. Or at
And I
least,
part of me feels like Alice is entirely manipulating her in this moment to
oh
do
yeah.
exactly this.
She's like, we're never gonna
Because
get
she
out of this.
gives in
This
so easy.
like I was like, we're never getting out of this. Maybe this girl, maybe either this girl will get us out of it, or I get to watch her tortured and she dies, and
Right.
that's
Like,
great too.
I
Like,
mean, honestly, though, what does Alice have to lose in this?
yeah, no,
She's already
nothing.
lost everything. So I can you take her to the wall or you take her under the mountain. And if she breaks the spell, fucking cool and awesome.
Hmm.
And if she doesn't, bye.
Finally, I got rid of this girl who
This
won't listen to a
annoying girl.
damn thing I say,
Right.
which is another trend that we will hear
Mm-hmm.
again
Mm-hmm.
later next
Yep.
episode.
Yeah. So the next time we
Uh,
will pick up at chapter 33.
hmm. She sets
Um,
off towards the
she sets off to go under the mountain.
sets off to under the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which she knows absolutely nothing about, but she's gonna
She can do it.
walk
And
right in and
we're into that point of the book though, like because we don't have a ton left,
mm,
but there's a lot that's gonna happen.
yeah.
So we're gonna
I think some of it will go a little bit. Some of the chapters will go pretty quick because there's a
well,
lot of
yeah, we're there's
there's
some
a lot of
trials and there's some
there's
descriptions
a
and
lot of descriptions. There's some really cool descriptions, admittedly,
there are.
that we don't really need to go into. But
I know, but some of this is my favorite stuff.
yeah, yep, we get to hear about some of the stuff that goes down under the
Yep.
mountain.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you all for watching.
Hmm.
Please like and subscribe. Follow
Share,
us.
share
Yes,
as well,
share,
please.
share, share, share. Follow us on TikTok, on Instagram at Seasoned Readings. And Ben doesn't know this. So I'm going to announce this for the first time. We have a Goodreads
Oh yeah.
now. We do.
Okay.
We
Great.
are Seasoned Readings on Goodreads. So please come and follow us on Goodreads. Um, I think we're going to be tracking whatever we're both reading individually and then for the podcast, I think.
Okay. Cool.
Might be a little fun just so you can kind of see what else we're reading and listening to
Hmm.
when we're not
When we're not talking about
ACOTAR.
yes, yes.
What are you, just as like a really quick kind of wrap it up, what are you reading right now, Ben?
Well, right now I am listening to the third ACOTAR series book of
Okay.
the series. I just finished the second one, which
Okay.
is
Court of Mist and Fury.
Mist and Fury, and I'm listening to Wing and
Ruin.
Ruin.
Wings and
Yes.
Ruin. Yeah.
So I started that one.
Okay.
And that's what I'm kind of delving into right now.
Okay.
Probably gonna be listening to that for the foreseeable future, but I have a physical book that someone got me that I do intend to read at some point.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that'd be cool. I'm excited. That's neat.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have our Goodreads. Um, I started it today. And I'm basically doing these two books as one book. So do you remember Go Ask Alice? It was the supposedly true diary of a teenage girl who falls into homelessness and like drugs and stuff.
No, no, I don't.
Okay. It's one of those that like a lot of people, I feel like it's supposedly like I said, it's this real firsthand account. And I recently learned about a new book. Um, it was published in 96, this version of Go Ask Alice. But I recently learned of this new nonfiction book called Unmasking Alice, all about the person who actually wrote Go Ask Alice and how
Interesting.
true or untrue the accounts actually are.
Fascinating.
Yes. So
You're doing
I'm
like a tandem read there?
so I'm I was probably 15, 16 years old when I read Go Ask Alice. So
Oh,
it's been
okay.
a very long time. So
Gotcha.
I was like, you know what? It's only 5 hours in audio. I'm going to listen to Go Ask Alice again because I just got from the library Unmask Alice. So I'm
Okay.
going to finish Go Ask Alice so it'll be really fresh in my head when I get to start this 10-hour nonfiction about the actual author because it's always been published under anonymous.
Oh, really? I was not aware. Fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That's some
Yeah,
almost conspiracy
a little
stuff.
bit,
A little
little bit.
bit, a
So
little bit.
I will report back. Watch our Goodreads,
Yeah.
because I will be on there. And let me get I'll put a link to our Goodreads in the description, for you guys, so you guys can go and follow us. And we'll each be kind of we'll try to I think what at least one book a month up there that we read. Also, if anybody would be interested in something a little shorter to maybe go in between maybe book chapters, like what we're currently reading, just maybe solo projects of me and Ben, let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
That might be something you'd be interested in.
Give us some ideas, some
Yeah,
thoughts.
the things you want to see, not
Yeah.
just ACOTAR specific, but all romance, fantasy, romantasy, smut.
Romance, smutty, sci-fi.
Yeah,
I'm, maybe curious about some of that stuff.
yeah, non-fic, whatever. Let us know.
I want zero G sex. I mean, no, I mean, I'm sorry. I don't want. I would like to read about zero G sex. Do with
I
that as
have
you
not
will.
read about that, so I'm excited.
That's got to be out there.
If
There's got
someone
to be.
has where people do it floating in space, let us know.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I wonder. I've seen a couple. My son likes astronaut stuff, and I always, oddly enough, that's always what I wonder because they always talk about how they eat, how they bathe.
But how do you do? Yeah.
How do you do it in space?
I don't know if you guys heard that. Something just happened outside my house.
No, I did not. No, didn't
Okay.
hear
The
that.
cat definitely went on alert. So, on that note,
Yeah. Thank you,
all
everybody,
right.
for listening,
Thank you,
watching.
everyone. And we will see you on all of the socials.
Mhm.
Bye.
Bye.